Well, hello everybody, this is Cool Dude Clem here, and I'm doing this video mainly to help Steel Rain 3 with how to solder, and I'm sure anybody else who doesn't know how to solder will appreciate this video. Now if you want to do soldering, you're going to need two things. Now firstly there's this, which is a soldering iron, and this, which is solder. It's a special metal alloy which the soldering iron can melt. So first thing you need to do is plug it in and give it a few minutes to warm up. This one only takes about 3 minutes. Then you need to wet this is called the bit on the end of the soldering iron. You need to wet that with the solder, which is simply just melting some solder on the hot bit. It will smoke when you do this, but that's perfectly normal. And when you've got the bit wet, you can then start soldering. Let's say I want to solder these two wires together. You can see that I have stripped the ends of them. Well, you probably would be able to see if the camera would focus better, but now I've stripped the two ends of these wires together, so next thing to do is just to twist them round so they are connected, as you can see there. Now I've got the two wires in my vise now. Now to solder them together, just touch them with the end of the soldering iron like that to heat up the wires, and then with the solder, sorry my hands are a bit shaky here, but I don't have very steady hands, but once you've got the wire hot enough, just put the solder, touch the wire with the solder, and the solder will flow onto the wire. And you can now see that these two wires are now properly soldered, so they are not going to come apart. You can see that they are firmly soldered together. Now you're going to want to clean it quite a few times, and best way to do it is with a wet sponge. And to clean it, just wipe it on the wet sponge, you can see that now that the bit is totally clean and ready for some more soldering. Now I'm going to show you how to solder something onto a circuit board. You can see here I've got a capacitor which I have put onto a piece of strip board. Now before you, when you want to solder it on, it's good to bend the legs out like you can see here in the video. I'm just going to clean my soldering iron up again because the bit does get quite dull even if you're not using it, because it oxidizes. Now just wet the bit again. You don't need a tremendous amount, you just need enough to help the soldering iron heat what it is you're soldering. And now just heat the capacitor leg and the strip board with the soldering iron, and then just apply the solder. And just take the soldering iron away. And that leg is now firmly soldered to the board. I'll now do the same with the other leg. Just letting it heat up the board and the component leg. And then just applying the solder, as you can see. And there you are, that ain't going anywhere now. Now all you need to do is just clip the ends of the leads here. I'm just using an ordinary pair of nail clippers. And that's how you solder onto a board. Now if you want to desolder or remove something from a circuit board, I'll just give you a better view here. You get a pair of pliers or something like that and just hold the whatever it is you're unsoldering loosely with it, and then heat up the soldered connection with the soldering iron, and then just gently pull on the component. And there you can see it has been removed from the circuit, from the strip board, with no damage to it. You can see there is a little bit of solder left over from where it was removed, so you're going to need to get a solder remover for that. I don't have one, so I can't show you how to do that, but they are pretty easy to use. You can see I've got quite a lot of solder built up onto the end of my soldering iron, so if you just flick that, you can see it is gone, but it's best to try to flick it into a bin or something, because you don't want to get it onto anything that you don't want to damage. But anyway, that's the basics of soldering. So I hope this video has been help to you, and until next time, goodbye.